me home. Now it's time to let you know. All right. All right. Selmo Fudd, how we doing, man? Hold up. Let me get my earpiece. Oh man, I don't have all day for this shit. Selmo, how you doing, man? So you guys got your good victory yesterday against Miami, and it kind of like leads into what I wanted to talk about today. Um, as the football season is heating up, so are these coaching seats, man. And I don't understand at this point why Mike McDaniels is still a head coach at Miami Dolphins. Whatever they're doing, it's not working. And you got the big injury to Tyreek Hill that could have salvaged things. And now I just don't know where the Dolphins can go except make a change. All right, I thought I was watching Lilo and Stitch play yesterday. Put the dog pound one. So, hey, man, it's all that matters if you get the win or not. I kind of understand what you mean by that. I was watching the Falcons take on the 49ers last night. You know, as good as Michael Penix is, you get any kind of pressure on him and get close to him, and he can feel your presence. He started to make some very questionable throws. He's going to either throw it over your head or he's going to two-hop you over the middle of the field. So he's feast or famine. He's either going to hit you or he's going to overthrow you or he's going to throw some pass like, hey, I don't want this. Get away from me. Go hit the next guy. Don't hit me. And I'm starting to wonder about that. Just the second game in a row, I see him pull something like that. And I'm only worried about Penix. The guy's good and all of that. But, you know, a lot of quarterbacks are classic front runners. They're okay as long as they got time to throw and you don't get a chance to touch them a whole lot. But when you start to put a little pressure on them, you start to see a little bit different kind of player. And that's what I see in Penix when you get a little pressure on him. If you go back to the national championship game in college, it was the same way. Once Michigan started to touch him, he became a different kind of quarterback. And that's what I saw last night. So they better find a way to protect him or get the ball out of his hands faster, or he's going to keep making these cartoonish-like plays that's not befitting of an NFL quarterback. So I asked the question, do you think Billy Napier should be fired? You know, who you ask, they're going to say he should have been fired a long time ago. And then others say, not necessarily his fault, but, doesn't matter how things go. It's going to be up and down, and the head coach is going to get the blame. But the thing about it is he didn't lose the game the other day. He actually won the game, and you still want to fire him. Mississippi State is not a bad football team. They beat Mississippi State, and then they turn around and fire the guy the next day. Why not wait till the end of the season? Now, last year they got on a run where they won like the last 4 or 5 games. It would have been better than that. If Lagway had not got hurt against Georgia, they would have beat them. So you got most of these guys coming back. They don't give a damn about playing against Georgia. So why not hold him to see how they do for the rest of the season? But now it's too late. So the question is, I don't know if they're still paying other coaches. I know they had Dan Mullen and McElwain. Florida will fire you, and they don't mind paying coaches back pay. But how you doing, JC? If you're McElwain, and I've been saying this before, if I'm a head coach on the college or pro level, fire me. I wouldn't give a damn. Why? Because Michael Wayne has about a $21 million buyout. And the way this works, they have 30 days to give this man half his money. So he's going to get a check grossed at 10.5 million. Then starting in July of 26, July 27, and July 28, you have to divide the remaining money up. So he's going to get a Christmas in July check for another 3-something million until it's exhausted. Now, I don't know. I don't think that carries over to another school. I know in the NFL it does. You can't just get fired and the money that they owe you, they don't just pick that up. That gets transferred to the new team. But I don't think that's the way in college. I think he can still go get another job and make a couple more million. So he's not hurting at all. Yeah, it hurts to get fired and all of that, but shit, fire me and pay me $21 million. I'm going to call John Gruden up, and we're going to hang out at the Fired Coaches Club, and we're going to sit there and laugh and count our millions as they come in. That's what I would do. All right, Gabriel should get a shot. Well, as long as not Shur, but as long as Gabriel is playing pretty decent, and they don't just have to take him out, then they won't. I just don't see Shur really making it in Cleveland, because after this year, I think what's going to happen again, Wichita is going to come off that bench, and they're going to see what he can do, because they're paying him $35 million a year. I'm talking about Deshaun Watson. He's going to get a chance to come in to see if he's worthy enough to stay with Cleveland. I know the fans don't like it. They don't want to hear it. But what has this guy really done to them other than get hurt? He's not a bad quarterback. He's got a lively arm. The only thing that went on him was his Achilles. So if he comes back and he's playing head and shoulders better than these other two guys, then he's going to play, whether the fan likes it or not. And I think if he does come back this year, not only is he going to start at some point, he's going to be the opening day starter next year. And I expect them to deal Sanders at some point, if not during the season, the regular offseason trading thing. They'll trade him for some kind of draft pick set up next year to see how much more talent they can get for that position. But he's not going to stay in Cleveland. I just don't see that anymore. But the team that they traded with last year, the Jacksonville Jaguars, that's how Jacksonville ended up with the Travis Hunter pick. Hunter seems to be coming along. They finally threw him a route worthy of down the field action, and he catches a corner route for a touchdown. He's not considered to be the number one receiver. The guy that's supposed to be the number one receiver, Brian Thomas, he's laying an egg. And I'm starting to think, well, maybe Brian Thomas is in love or something. I don't know what the hell wrong with him. He's dropping a lot of passes. He just seems to be going through the motions. Sophomore slump, you call it. But we don't have time to be trying to wait for you to get through your little personal issues. The team expects you to play every time you step on the field. And if all your job is to catch the ball, then we expect you to catch the ball. And I'm not talking about me as a Jaguar. I'm just talking about in general as a coach. If you're getting paid to catch the ball, catch the damn ball. And it's just the way it is. And he's not producing this year. And they've been holding Hunter back because he's learning both sides of the ball. And he should be adjusting to all of that. And if you don't know what that entails, it's an awful lot of work just on one side of the ball. But when you double it up and you have to play both sides, then he's pretty much got his nose in the books pretty much all the way up to kickoff. And that's the only way he's going to be able to pull off both sides of the ball. But if they're going to use him as a receiver, at least let him run something other than these little dinky dunk routes they've been running all along. Now, he ran like I say, that corner route, and they hit him for a touchdown. But they need to do more of that, and they need to have a heart-to-heart with Thomas to see where his heart is. Because I don't know if he really wants to play right now. Maybe he's satisfied. Maybe he's not hungry anymore. That happens a lot. I don't know his situation before he got to the pros. Let's just say he was broke, and your desire was to get to the pros. And now you made it to the pros, and you've had some success your rookie year. Now you feel like you got it made. You don't have to work so hard anymore. But if that's the case, you find out that that is not the case. You have to actually work harder now that you have shown some success. People want to know, is that something they can count on, or were you just a fluke? Why did the Giants take their foot off Denver's neck? Denver scored 30 points in the fourth quarter and won the game. What do you mean take the foot off their neck? It's a back and forth game. You think Denver was just going to allow the Giants to just do whatever they want with no resistance? When you resist, things start to turn your way, and that's what happened. The Broncos started to remind me of the Georgia Bulldogs. They're a hard team to beat. You got to exterminate them. If they got time on the clock and they got a chance to win, they're going to win it. And I see that characteristic with the Georgia Bulldogs. It's just hard to beat. And unless you knock them out and kill them, they're coming back. And the same thing with the Broncos. It don't matter how far of a lead you got. Even when the Giants gave up the lead, they came down and they got that quick score. They probably scored too quick. And then it allowed Denver to make that run to kick that field goal as time expired. But again, you left them some time on the clock. And any kind of time, if you got 10 or more seconds, that's enough time. Go back and look at what Kansas City did to Buffalo in the playoffs that time. What it was, 13 seconds they got down there? Don't take but one blown play by the defense, and you're in trouble. And that's what happened yesterday. So to say to take their foot off the neck, I don't believe that. But I have seen it before where teams have called the dogs off. And once you're in the go mode and you slow down and just to run the clock, and all of a sudden things start to turn against you, it is hard to get that reversed. So maybe some of that happened yesterday, but I don't think that was the case. I think Denver is just a hard team to beat. I hope Cleveland use all those draft picks on a new O-line next year. Yeah, you always want to update your O-line, but it's just as important as an O-line, you need to upgrade that D-line. You got Myles Garrett coming off that corner. Cleveland's not a bad defense as it is right now. But if you got enough reserves on that defensive line, you can keep the pressure on an opposing offense. And that's pretty much probably more important than having a solid offensive line. But I think that they're going to take Shur and get some kind of draft capital out of him at some point. And if Deshaun Watson, another opportunity, if Deshaun Watson does come back and play well, show the league that he can still play, then that's an opportunity for them to deal him. Because, quarterback talent is thin all the way around the league. So anything's on the board when you have a team that's not winning. And they have an opportunity to take the players that they have and turn it into something. Now, not only did Billy Napier get fired over the weekend, Colorado State, they chopped Jay Norvell. If you don't know who that was, that's the guy that was going back and forth with Deion Sanders about how they were raised 2 years ago. And they finally gave him the axe. He lost a close game the other day. But at least he lost. Napier didn't lose. But I tell you another coach, since we're talking about possibilities who get fired, I already mentioned Mike McDaniels down in Miami, but another Florida coach, Jay Norvell up in Florida State. If you don't know, they lost 4 in a row now. They came out like gangbusters, whipped Alabama, and destroyed a couple of teams in practice games. Then they blew the game at Virginia. After they blew the game at Virginia, then they had Miami. So I think once they lost that game to Virginia, they kind of lost their confidence. They're a completely different team now. It's almost like they're a shell of themselves. It's unlike when they had those injuries a couple of years ago and everything just fell apart because it ran through the quarterback. Here is different. You still got the same team that played against Alabama. So I don't know what Florida State issue is right now, other than Virginia took their heart, and then Miami stomped on it. Then you lose that close game against Pittsburgh, and then you got to go cross country to play Stanford and get beat. I know that's a tall order to go across country, but hell, teams do it every week. So there's really no excuse for that. So the question is, how much longer does Norvell have before they get rid of him? Right now they're 3-4, and I think he's pretty much going to have to run the table for the rest of the year to even have a chance of keeping his job. But either way, he's going to be okay because, like I said, I think Gus Malzahn is going to take that job at Arkansas, and then he can always bring Norvell with him, and they buddies, so he's not hurting either. And just like Napier, he's going to have some kind of buyout that Florida State's going to have to pay him. So other than the shame or whatever embarrassment he may have from getting fired, financially he's not going to be hurt at all. So like I said, fire me. Just make sure the check come within 30 days. Otherwise, I'm taking you to court. All right. He told Dion to take the glasses off when he talked to him. Yeah, that guy right there. He finally got fired. I got a picture of him on that thumbnail I put out there. So Norvell is gone. Let's see who all is gone. UCLA, Virginia Tech, Penn State, now Colorado State, Florida. Trent Dilfer got fired at UAB. There's a couple more. Sam Pittman at Arkansas. There's a few more that I forgot, and there's a couple more coming. Luke Fickell out in the Big Ten at Wisconsin. They don't look too good right now. I think he's not going to be long at Wisconsin. There's probably going to be an opening there. If you're a coach and you're looking for opportunity, there's opportunities out there to be had. But I just think Florida should have held on to Napier to at least the end of the season. What's the point of firing him now, especially after winning the game, Players like him, they will play for him. It's just, can they score enough points to stay in the game? And that's part of the problem. He's the offensive coordinator, and he was calling all the plays for the team. And from my understanding, he refused to give up that part of the job to another coach. As you've seen with UCLA, when you fire your head coach and you bring these young guys in to take the place, then all of a sudden they have a completely different look. And you wonder, well, what was this guy doing before the head coach was fired? Well, a lot of times it comes down to philosophy. Coach wants to do it a certain way, and he holds these guys back because he doesn't want to be outshone by these guys. I gave you guys a perfect example. I talked to a high school coach last week. He's struggling. He's got young personnel. They've got a lot to learn about the game of football. They don't have the personnel to throw the ball in a 4 and 5 wide set, just like everybody else. But he insists on throwing the ball when he does not have to throw personnel. What he does have is a couple of big guys that if you can just get them to take a step forward off the ball and fall on somebody, maybe you can get 2 or 3 yards of carry and get the clock to running and keep your team in the game. But he tells me, and I'm still deeply upset by this, he tells me to run the football nowadays is a give-up strategy. Well, I was looking at the 49ers last night. They sure didn't look like they were giving up when they were running through the Falcons' front seven. I think about all the teams that won championships that ran the football. They weren't playing give up. So how the hell does he come up with the idea that it's a give-up strategy to run the football? And I'm telling you, all these guys are Ike and Mike. They're all alike. Because that guy down there is doing it, you feel like you got to do the same thing because it looks great to throw the ball. But if he's got the personnel and you don't, what is the point? You got to look at the personnel that you have to get yourself a chance to win. You can't be like everybody else. And that is the problem with these young guys. And I think what it is, and I figured it out because I've been thinking about this last couple of days. I think this guy, he wants to be John Madden, play John Madden in real life. He wants to throw the ball every down, not taking into account that the defensive players actually get tired in real life instead of on the video game. That's the only thing that can make sense to me. You're playing video game and you're looking for video game results, but yet the other team is steady cracking you on the head because you're doing the wrong thing. But he got the job. He talked himself into the job. Now you got the job. You're not performing. The question is, how long do these high school coaches can keep a job if all you're doing is going out and getting beat by 30 points every night? Now, I can understand if you're playing state championship teams like Sherman Williams out there in Alabama who got beat 100-0, but that team he lost to was the number 2 team in the state. If you're getting beat by a championship caliber team by 30 or more points, fine, I can deal with that. But if you're getting blown out by 30 points by teams that get beat by 30 points routinely, you got a problem. And I don't understand how you can't see that. And this is the kind of thing that I see with the coaching profession. As soon as you get that coach out of the way, somebody else who sees what's going on get an opportunity to be the interim. They come in and change a few things, and voila, completely different team. You see that in UCLA. You're seeing it with UAB. It happens all the time. You fire a coach, the interim comes in, and they do a lot more better things than what you saw before with the other guy. Primarily, we really don't have anything to lose. The interim is not a full-time gig. Hey, let's roll with it. So the question is, who's going to be the interim for Florida? Who knows? Only thing that's going to change is somebody else is going to be calling the plays. And maybe that would make a difference. But regardless of the plays being called, if you got a quarterback throwing 3 or 4 interceptions like Lagway has done this year, I don't give a damn who called the play. You're not going to win. And most of you saying you think Billy Napier should have got fired. Well, he's not getting the results that the fan base wants. So I can understand why they won't want him out. I'm not saying that maybe he shouldn't be fired, but I am saying that the timing is not that great. Now, the thing about the University of Florida, since the last 40 years, that's when Florida became a very arrogant program. And you would be hard-pressed to find anybody who would want to admit that Florida football in my lifetime didn't win a game one year. So for a program to go 0-11 and then expect to win every damn game, I think that's rather unrealistic. Yes, if you didn't know, Florida went 0-11 in 1979, I believe it was, didn't win a damn game. It was Wayne Peace and all them guys back then. They had the talent. Talent's all over Florida. You should be able to put together a football team. But if you look at the history of the state of Florida and their football players, they've had a lot of guys under the shadow of the University of Florida that couldn't give them a sniff. And what they wouldn't give a sniff to, they end up going somewhere else in the SEC, everywhere else, and did great. It was only until they started saying, well, hey, you better get some of these players that are right on our nose and put them out there on the field, and maybe we can start winning. That's when Florida started to become more competitive in football. But you'd be hard-pressed for them to admit that they actually went 0-11. And there's reasons for that. Now, that's digressing a little bit. How you doing, Break? You always come on when I get ready to leave, man. Why you do me like that? But Florida, they got talent, and they have an opportunity to do something. It's just a matter of getting the right coach in there. I'm hearing the name Lane Kiffin floating around. I don't think this Lane just want to get out of Oxford. It's not really a good reason for him to leave Ole Miss. Just like it's not a good reason for Kurt Signetti to leave Indiana. Indiana, knowing how things typically go, they hurry up and gave him a contract extension, got a big raise. And I think the same thing is going to happen to Kiffin because he's doing good things with Ole Miss. Now, they choked the other day, but they still got a good football team. And it wouldn't make sense for him to leave. So who Florida has, they got to have somebody in mind for them to fire the coach now. So maybe it's John Gruden. I've been hearing that for a while too. But I just don't think that it was a good time to do that. But I just hope whatever they do, don't do like the Knicks and have a knee-jerk reaction to fire your coach, and then you go bring in a guy like Mike Brown. You're talking about you want to win a championship, but you bring in a guy that's not a championship coach. You never will convince me that was a great move. And if you don't win a championship in the next year or two, you're going to get rid of him. Then you're going to say, why get rid of Thibodeau? Because you didn't like his style. He didn't look the part on the sideline. Your star player got his ego bruised. Come on, man, give me a break, man. Anyway, James Brown, how you doing, man? I'm getting ready to get up out of here. I asked the question, do you think Billy Napier should be fired or not? He's been living on the edge, and probably time for Florida to make a change. But I just think they should have waited to see how this year turned out. And what you probably would have found that they're probably going to win more games on the back end than they did on the front end. And with the ruggedness of the SEC, got worse when you put in Oklahoma and Texas. And schools like Florida, who would never jump off the porch and go test themselves elsewhere, now are forced to test themselves against teams like Oklahoma and Texas. And then you got to go play somebody else in the Power Four conference somewhere else. Florida can't hide behind the SEC anymore. And because of that, they're going to get another coach in here. And if he don't win right away, they're going to get rid of his ass. And they're going to be paying another coach and then another coach. But one thing about it, though, is not that Florida could never play with this team. It's just they wouldn't schedule them. And then when they had a good team, they say, well, we're from the SEC. Okay. I've been telling you guys all along, the SEC is just another conference. What happened was the top 2 or 3 teams in the SEC could play with anybody in the nation. We're one of the best teams in the nation. But the rest of the conference was just like everybody else. If you put all those teams in the bag and shake them up, then you're going to see what you're seeing right now. And I've been saying this for years. So I don't care who wins. It just validates my point. And Florida can't hide behind the allure of the SEC anymore. You got to go out and play. You got to go places you've never been before, and you got to perform. And if the coach doesn't perform, actually he's doing pretty good. I think a little over 500 is about what you can expect in the loaded conferences that they have now. If this was a regular SEC, you beat Georgia or you get by Tennessee, then you can pretty much write the ticket to the SEC championship game. No more. You got to go play, and I like it. But anyway, a lot of you guys are saying that Napier should be fired. We already talked about that, but it's going to be more to come. And I think that Mike McDaniels is next. Mike Norvell is next. Luke Fickell is next. And I'm just going to hold it right there. But to answer your question, I saw that question, JC. Detroit and Tampa going for the division, the conference lead tonight. I think Detroit at this point is better. But Tampa is kind of like Detroit, not Detroit, but Denver and the Georgia Bulldogs. You got to crush them. Otherwise, if you leave them any kind of light at the end, they're going to come back and steal it. And I think Detroit, they tend to get stronger as the game goes on, too. If Detroit gets the lead on Tampa, they're going to whip Tampa. And it's just like that. But the question really is, do you want to win tonight or do you want to win in the playoffs? And I told you, these defensive coordinators in the NFL, they live and sleep. And all they do is look at film. And they're going to find something to beat you. So if you're Tampa or you're Detroit, you go out there and show the team everything you got. I'm going to save that, and I'm going to have something for you for when I play you in the playoffs again. Then I'm going to spring it on you. I'm going to show you my best stuff. I'm going to save it. But if you're dumb enough to show your best stuff tonight, it's going to be used against you in the playoffs. But tonight, I expect Detroit to beat Tampa because they're just the better team. But Tampa is coming. And if they get the receivers back, Evans supposed to play tonight. Egbuka, we don't know what he's going to do. But they're 100%. And Tampa's going to be a threat. But I think Tampa's problem is they can't expect to be coming back all the time either. So it's just a matter of time. They're going to fall and go hit the mouth, and the dude's going to jump on them and pin them down and keep on hitting them, and that's going to be in the Tampa. So it should be a good game, though. I'm looking forward to it. Now, Boy Brown, how you doing? But I got to get up out of here, man. Time to go to work. I appreciate you guys stopping in and hollering at me. 71% of you say Napier should be fired. And this is not a knock against Napier. It's just a good time to fire a coach. Why not just wait till the end of the season? Is my thing. But Daniel knows the writing is on the wall. But I'm going to leave you with this. Billy Napier is going to be getting a buyout of about $21 million. By law, they have 30 days to pay half of it. So in 30 days, right around Thanksgiving time, Napier is going to be sitting on $10.5 million. Does he really give a damn if he got fired? I know I wouldn't. I'm calling up John Gruden. We're going to have a party. But anyway, I got to get up out of here, man. Kids knocking on my door. So you guys have a great day. Unless there's some breaking news, I'll catch you in the morning. This has been Sports for Real. I'm out.